In today's video, I'm going to be talking about another way you can help yourself revising, and this is called dual coding. How dual coding works is it's the idea that our brain often is trying to connect visual and verbal elements. So, what we're trying to do is try and create a link between something that we have seen verbally with a visual image. Why are we trying to do this? Well, it's two bits of our brain that are trying to work together. And when we have a verbal and visual image that links to the same bit of information, um, we can access the information much easier and retain it for a lot longer. When it comes down to it, all dual coding simply is trying to associate images and words together at the same time. So it can be drawing images, it can be adding little pictures to our notes. I'm going to give some examples of how I would have done this for some of my notes and some of my revision, and I'll show you why it's effective. Why is it effective? So there's lots of studies being done on dual coding versus just revising or studying from normal written notes. On the right, we have some just normal written notes done in a Cornell method, which is excellent. And on the left would be an example of someone who has made some notes. However, they have also done dual coding. So they've added little pictures and visual stimuli to connect to the words in the text as well. What they found in a series of studies that in terms of retaining information, it can be 40 to 50% higher, and scores on recall tests after people have dual coded can be again 40 to 50% higher, and the studies there I've mentioned below. So this is a very effective technique for allowing our brain to absorb lots of information and retain it for a long time. We can use this along with the other methods I've talked about: spaced practice, retrieval practice, interleaving. It's just another tool in your arsenal. The examples I would use to do this, so I think this works particularly well on mind maps or concept maps. We talked about that in another video. I talked about learning the Green Bay Packers, and this was my initial concept map that I had made. And if I was trying to remember this information, well, for Green Bay, I would use their logo. Defense, I've got this picture of a D and a fence to remember that. Some people might say, why have you got some handcuffs for offense? Well, the way I coded it in my brain, it's like a criminal offense, and that's how I've pictured it. And that's what we need to understand about dual coding. The code needs to work for you and your understanding and not for anyone else. Wide receivers, again, I've just done a hand receiving a gift. And then when I've come to do Jaden Reed, this is more specific. I've done some reads. I've done the Michigan State Spartans logo, which is a helmet, and the number 11. Hopefully, this kind of combination of using a concept map and dual coding would mean it'd be much easier for me to retrieve the information when I need to. I don't just have to use it on a concept map. We talked about flashcards. Here I'm trying to learn about Jordan Love. And again, I've just done some simple pictures to go with this. For Love, I've put his number in a heart, which makes me think of the number and him. Quarterback, I've done a quarter, American quarter coin. And then for Utah State, I've actually had this image of the outline of the state of Utah, just with the word Utah in it. Again, that was hopefully allow me to retrieve that information much quicker, because if I can't think of the actual words, I might think of the picture, which gives me a gentle reminder on what the words might be. The last way you might want to use this, sometimes annotated diagrams can actually show us how the knowledge interacts. So I've got a list here of information about the features of a volcano. This might be from a textbook, it might be from my notes. But to read it like this, I might forget a couple of them, where if I put it into a simple annotated diagram, which I draw and point out, I can not only see and remember these images as part of this wider image, but I can also see potentially how they interact. So those are a couple of examples of how you might want to use dual coding. And remember, the retention of knowledge is vastly improved when we use this. So what I would do when you make some notes, try it out, see how it works out, and see how your knowledge is retained over a series of tests.